Okay, on a lighter note, I guess lighter. Afternoon drinks in Saskatoon end in handcuffs for a Prince Albert woman. And this is out of PA, princealbertnow.com. One Prince Albert woman is feeling more than just the effects of alcohol after an afternoon of drinking left Saskatoon police with an easy-to-solve case. Around 4:30 p.m. Wednesday, Saskatoon police got a call from a bar on Broadway saying a woman left without paying her large tab. Unfortunately for the woman, she left her purse and identification behind, thwarting any potential dine and dash efforts. An hour later, police got another call of a woman driving a black Mercedes leaving a bar on Diefenbacher Drive without paying her tab. This time, the woman left her shoes behind. At 5:40 p.m., around 10 minutes later, police were called about a collision on a 11th Street West and Circle Drive. The witness on the phone said the Mercedes had run into a truck and was leaving the scene east on 11th Street. Okay, this is... I'll just finish reading the article then. A patrol car found a black Mercedes smashed against a fence down the street at 11th Street and Avenue West. Only minutes later, there, a shoeless woman stood next to the wrecked car, making this an open and shut case for police. A 35-year-old woman is facing charges of impaired driving while prohibited, and a variety of dine and dash related charges. She is scheduled to appear in Saskatoon Provincial Court in September. Very concisely written CKOM news staff article, but click the link below if you want to read it for yourself. It's a very short article, and I know I was laughing kind of as I was reading it, but it's sort of a... God, what is that? Maligned laughter? No, what is the word? I forget English living out here for so long. Kind of a malicious laughter. It's a kind of a schadenfreude situation that we're dealing with. That's really unfortunate for her, but at the same time, like, that's created a lot of problems. And when I found this article, it reminded me of a night when I was a taxi driver. And I had said earlier that I was going to talk about my taxi career, and so I thought I would just share some taxi stories, because I have one that's very similar to this one. Now, I remember I've been a taxi driver twice. The first time was when I started grad school, and the second time was briefly in Illinois. Shout out to River Ryan if he ever sees this. But that was during the time of Uber and all that, in which we really didn't have much business. And I'll talk about Illinois another time. This is the first time before we had Grab and Uber, when you could still make a very decent wage as a taxi driver in my hometown. We didn't have GPS or anything, but I grew up in that town, so did my dispatcher, so we had a pretty good control over things. We didn't even have those meters. But anyway, I got called once on a very busy Saturday night to Water Street, which is the party street in my hometown, and there was a woman who was just, she could barely stand up. She was so drunk. And I get there, and like the police had shown up, and they were taking her out of the bar. And I'll never forget this. The cop looked over at me, and he said, "Are you the cabbie?" And that's the first time anyone's ever called me a cabbie. And it was the first time a cop has said that so casually to me. And it felt like a certain accomplishment at that point. But anyway, I said, "Yeah, I'm the cabbie." It felt kind of cool saying that. And I took this woman, and she's sort of walking again. I didn't touch her or anything, but I was like, I asked if she needed help moving or whatever. She kind of like clumsily gets in her heels and all that, and I open the door for her. She gets in the taxi, and she lives way on the edge of town. I should have asked for payment up front, but I finally get to where it's supposed to be, and it's a trailer home. And I knock on the door and bring her in, and nobody has paid me for the ride. It's like a $10 fare that I needed. A bit of gas. It was quite far from our station, and she won't pay, and her mom or whoever she was living with was furious and yelling at me, refusing to pay. It's like 3 a.m. We're creating all this noise in the trailer park. I said, fine, I'll just leave. I can be making more fares on the other side of town. So I get back in, and she left her ID in the cab. There's these big van cabs that we had, and So I thought, oh, I'll just take it to the police. And so the next day I brought it to the police and explained to them what happened. And they kind of nodded their heads. And I stood in this lobby area, and they've got the camera and they've got all this grading and all that. And it's a police station. I'm just feeling like for $10, it doesn't even matter. I kind of regretted doing that because, even though, she was just having a really rough night. And it didn't matter. I didn't have perspective back then because back then, I could make very good wages driving taxi as long as I just kept doing it, even if some fares were duds, But I shouldn't have dwelt on it so much. But they had her ID and everything. I never got reimbursed for the ride, and I'm not sure if she got charged for it, but I feel kind of bad about that. But at the same time, there is a limit, and I don't know. I speak for many when I say that we've been in her shoes, kind of. We've had those nights, certainly when we were younger. In Wisconsin in particular, my hometown, it's one of the drunkest cities in the USA. Bars per capita and everything. Everything's smushed together. Everyone drinks. But at the same time, there are Sunday drinking laws, and you do have to present your ID all the time, which is stuff that doesn't make any sense out here. I was kind of surprised my last trip. You saw my videos. I was in Thailand last week, and they do the same thing where you're not allowed to buy alcohol at certain hours or on certain days. But to quote or to paraphrase the Big Lebowski, there are no rules here. This is Vietnam. This is not. Anyway, I feel sorry for this woman, even though I was laughing and kind of being a jerk as I was reading this. But it's just, well, what gets into your head? There's certainly, you do stupid things when you're drunk. Everyone gets that, but there has to be a criminal element too. It isn't just stupidity, but there's, I don't know, it's bad stuff. Gotta avoid the sauce. Gotta limit yourself. Oh well. Hope she's okay. Over and out.